Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Walden Wong Art, and today I'm going to be drawing Captain America for you. A few weeks ago, Facebook marketing team, they contacted me and asked, Walden, can you do a custom project for us? And I said, sure, what would you like to do? And Facebook said, can you draw this person as Captain America in front of his comic book store with his kitten? And I go, sure, if you send me all the references, then I'll go ahead and do that. So this is the piece that I came up with right over here. So this is John. Here's his likeness. He's dressed as Captain America. He's standing in front of his comic book store. His comic book store is Carol and John's comic book shop. So if you're in that area, please drop by and say hi. Tell them that I want to visit the store sometimes. I'll add links below to the comic book store. So if you're in that area, tell them you saw this video and then you want to see the artwork, because I'm going to be sending this piece of original art to the comic book store owner, and then you'll see it there. So if you see it there, comment down below and let me know. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start sketching this piece in pencil and then inking it. And here we go. So when I started working on this commission, I decided to draw the face first. So that's why you see the face is all drawn in and all completely inked. And after that, I lightly sketched the whole layout of the figure. And then after I sketched the whole layout, I would just grab a regular #2 pencil and that would tighten up my sketch layouts. This part kind of feels like I'm inking my own pencils, but actually I'm penciling over my own layouts. So right here, I'm drawing the shield and you'll see me pivoting the page. I'm trying to draw this without using any stencils, so everything's freehand. So even Captain America's shield, I'm trying to get it as a nice curve as I can. And drawing the stars, drawing each of the stripes of the shield. And then I'll keep turning it just to get it right. And if it's not right, I would just start over again. Earlier, I didn't like the shape of it, so I'm drawing grids, guides that will help me draw that oval a little bit better. So I would just use it in sections. And then I had the hardest part with the shield. I could have used a template, but I decided to just freehand everything. So with the grids, I'm drawing each of the stripes on Captain America's shield. Now, this whole drawing and inking took me about 2-3 hours. So I'm speeding up this video for the sake of time, just so you can see the whole step. Otherwise, this would be a long 3-hour video. Who really wants to see a 3-hour video? Okay, after drawing the whole figure and the shield, which I'm happy about, I started drawing the details of Captain America, the stars, the stripes on his torso, and then the briefs, and then the shoes. And I'm going to start drawing in the outline of the shoes first, and then I'll start adding in the details. And then there's a cat that the client wanted in there, so I'm starting to draw the cat in there. Cat stepping over Captain America's foot. So they're together, and then I'm drawing all the stripes of the details of the shoe, the boot. So right over there, making sure all the straps are placed evenly, and then drawing some of the wrinkles on the pants, and then that line in the middle of the Captain America's pants just to give it more form. And then I'm drawing his gloves now. And then this is the more modern Captain America, where he has this gray underneath his arms. And then I'm drawing the mask on top of the likeness of the character that I originally drawn. And then drawing the Captain America's A on top, the logo, and then the wings. The wings are attached to his head, so I drew those there. And then now, after I drew everything in, I'm going to start adding in shadows with my #2 pencil. Usually when I'm just drawing something which is going to be inked later, I would just use any pencil. Any pencil would be okay, because when I'm done drawing in pencil, I would just erase it anyway. So I don't really worry about using different HB or 2B or different pencil leads. The only time I use different pencil leads is if I'm drawing portraits, and then I'm leaving that pencil drawing in a gray tone and I'm not inking it. But usually when I'm drawing something and I know that I'm going to be inking it later, I'll just use any pencil. Here I'm using a mechanical pencil with a thinner lead, because this thinner lead gives me a chance to draw more in detail. I can draw a thinner line and I can put more information in there as opposed to that regular number 2 pencil, that yellow pencil I was using earlier, which gives me a big, thicker line. Now I'm adding in the shadows of Captain America's shield, penciling everything in first. And when I'm penciling, during the penciling stage, I'm just making it up as I go. Like I don't really plan where the shadows are. I'm just thinking where the light is coming from, and then I plan on where the shadows are going to be. Okay, now I'm drawing more details, penciling everything in. Sometimes when I'm drawing for myself to ink, I would leave those details out, and I would go back during the inking phase, and I would add in the details during the inking phase. But it's always good to have as much detail as you can in pencil first, because sometimes you'll forget what you wanted in the first place. Okay, now I'm adding more shadows, contouring with the muscles underneath the pants, thinking about where all the shadows are supposed to be, drawing the pouch next to the glove, and then more shadows on the glove. Then the shoulders, creating more form on the body by adding more shadows. And then I'm using the eraser just to, I didn't like how the head looked originally, so I'm changing the angle of the head. Earlier, the head was looking towards the left, and now I'm redrawing it to make it look at the reader. Drawing the cat to look at the reader, the viewer. Okay, using the mechanical pencil because that gives me a thinner pencil tip. Yeah, I don't worry about hard pencils or light pencils. I just have a mechanical pencil that I use, and then a regular number 2 pencil that I use for all drawing, which I know that I'll be inking over later. A lot of times when I'm at a comic book convention and someone asks me to do a commission, this would be how I would do it. I would sketch everything in first, over and over, and until I'm happy with the pencil drawing, then I'll go back and I'll ink it. And now I'm happy with the pencil. I'm gonna take microns and ink it. In my other videos, you'll see me using quills and brushes and tech pens and all that. But when I do commissions, I like to just use microns and then maybe a brush here and there to fill in the black area. Because I like my own art to be organic and rough because it just looks cooler. I think it looks cooler. I don't know if everyone else thinks it looks cooler, just to make it look different than what I usually do in inking. So I'm inking all the outlines first. I'm using a micron, the thickest size, and I'll do all the outlines. And then when I do the inside of the lines, I'll just make it a thinner line. So I'm just going here and inking all the holding line of the character. So when I say holding line, that's basically the outline of the characters as well as each object. So the belt buckle is an object, the pouch is an object, the side of his body, the arms, the legs. So I will ink that with the thickest micron pen I have. I'm using a Staedtler Pigment pen, and I'm using the thickest one. And then when I start doing the insides, I will adjust it to a smaller one. So now I'm using a smaller micron to do the outline of the cat. And then instead of just inking just the outline, I'm actually inking each fur one at a time just to give it that fur texture. A lot of stipple tick marks all over. And then when I want more shadows in certain areas, I'll just add more fur on those areas. So from the beginning of sketching it, to penciling it in and tightening up the pencils, and then inking it, and then going back and adding detail. In a way, it feels like I'm doing it 5 different times, looking it over 5 different times. But that's the process of drawing comics. Just the sketching phase, the penciling phase, the inking, and the finishes. So as I'm going, there's really no set rules. I'm jumping back and forth. I'm adding details here, adding details there, going back and doing outlines on the cat, or moving back to this shoe, or moving back to the other shoe or the glove. So I'm just adding all the stripes over here, adding all the details, the minor details. And then when I'm done with all the details, I'll go back and I'll use the brush and fill in all the shadow area. So Captain America's suit is blue, but there's still shadows. So I would just use like a brush to do that. So I'm doing a star here. Captain America star, the 6-pack. Just some detail, just give more form to the figure. And then in between, I'll add some hatch lines and cross hatch lines, and maybe a little bit of tapering a little bit later. So drawing Captain America's mask. And then here's the logo, the A, Captain America's letter A. So putting details on the pouches. And then now I'm taking a Pentel brush pen. In some of my other videos, if you haven't seen some of my other videos, that brush pen is the same Pentel Aquash watercolor brush that I use. This one, I'm filling it. I filled the barrel with ink. That way, more ink will come out because I'm not using it to ink holding lines or outlines or line weights. I'm just using it to fill black areas. So I use that to fill it with ink, and then when I need it, I just press it and more ink will come out. Usually when I'm inking comic book work, for example, if I'm inking another penciler's work, I would dip the brush. That way I can control how much ink is coming out from the brush. But when I'm inking my own work, I would just use this brush, and then I would just go in there and add a lot of blacks. And if you wanted to order some of these tools I use, I'll add links below the description. Now, earlier you saw me dip it because I wanted even more ink to come out from the brush. So sometimes when you're squeezing the brush pen, not much ink is coming out, so I'm just dipping more. Now, if you want to get some of these for yourself, I'll add links below this video description so you can order it on Amazon. I'll also add a link below the description to my Amazon store that will show you all the art supplies and tools that I use. So if you want to order any of the tools that I use, for example, like a drawing table, printer, scanner, inks, like color, markers, crayons, pencils, whatever, that will show you every tool that I have in my studio. So here I'm starting to fill in the shadows, and I'm concentrating on the folds of the clothes. So I'll break up some of the shadows, and there will be some white lines in between. And then the boot, fill in the shadows of that. And I'm constantly dipping. Okay. I could squeeze the barrel. Sometimes if you squeeze it, there may be an overflow of ink. Now I'm coming in there, I'm tapering some of the lines going into the ink black areas just to give it a form. Comic book artists, we work in black and white only. To create a gray value, a gray form, we would hatch lines in or cross hatch lines, or we would do taper lines. Taper lines are these little triangular thin lines that goes from a light area to a black area. And then after everything's done, I will just go back with my kneaded eraser. So what I'm using is a kneaded eraser. Kneaded eraser, I can fold it and then knead it and then bend it. And then that usually picks up all its own eraser dust. And I also use a vinyl eraser because I think the vinyl eraser erases better, but the kneaded eraser just erases more and doesn't make that much of a mess. Now I'm going back and using a micron and filling all the areas that I missed, just to darken it up a little bit. And then just adding minor details just to complete it, just to show more of the form. I like adding a little hatch tick lines around the form just to give it more of a shade on the side of the leg or the side of the arm. Give it a gray value on the shield, just so things are not just completely black and completely white. There's a gray value to it. So here's Captain America's shield, adding some grays by putting in hatch lines. And then for areas that I wanted it to be darker, I would cross hatch it. So there's Captain America's shield. There's Captain America's body, adding more details, hatch lines around it. So this is one of my first drawing to inking videos. If you enjoy this kind of video, please comment down below and let me know. That way I know that you guys are enjoying it, and I'll make more of these kind of videos in the future. And please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and like the video. And then here's the rest of Captain America. And just like that, that's all the details. Adding in, keeping in mind where the light source is. So there you have it. There's the original art to this piece. Check out my website. My website is waldenwongart.com. On my website, there's a lot of things that you can look at. All the things I've done for Marvel Comics and DC Comics, as well as other work I've done. There's also videos and blog and a lot of things that you can look at on my website, so check that out there. And if you enjoy these videos, please think about supporting me over on Patreon. My Patreon is patreon.com/WaldenWongArt. There's different tiers of support, so thank you very much for that. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, keep on drawing. The more you draw, the better you get. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.